You didn't see it coming. Or maybe if you're honest, there were quiet moments when something inside you felt slightly off, slightly misaligned, but you ignored it so consistently that when everything finally collapsed, it still felt like a shock. You kept moving, kept functioning, kept telling yourself that this was just how life worked, that everyone felt this way, sometimes that nothing was really wrong. And then one day, without warning, or perhaps after a long invisible build-up, you refused to acknowledge everything stopped holding together. Not loudly, not dramatically, but completely. The structure you relied on didn't crack, it disappeared. The identity you carried no longer felt real. The direction you trusted dissolved. And what replaced it wasn't just pain or grief in the way people usually understand it. It was something far more unsettling. It was absence. Not sadness, not heartbreak, but the quiet, terrifying realization that you are no longer who you used to be, and at the same time you have no idea who you are now. And this is the part no one prepares you for, because when your identity collapses, it doesn't feel like change. It feels like death. Maybe it happened through a relationship that ended and took your entire sense of self with it, leaving you not just missing someone else, but missing the version of you that only existed in their presence. Maybe it was a career that collapsed and revealed that what you thought was purpose was actually just structure, something you leaned on so heavily that without it you no longer knew how to stand. Or maybe it didn't come as a single event at all. Maybe it was slow, quiet, almost invisible. A pressure building beneath the surface over months or years. Small compromises stacking on top of each other until one day the system simply couldn't hold anymore, and everything gave way at once. And now you're here not just asking what happened, but asking something far more dangerous, far more destabilizing, a question that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Who am I without all of this? Because when everything external falls away, you are left face to face with something you may have avoided for years, the possibility that the life you built was never fully yours to begin with. This is where most people instinctively move in the wrong direction. They panic, even if they don't call it that. They rush to fix it, to rebuild, to recover, to replace what was lost as quickly as possible. They tell themselves they just need to get back on track to become who they were again, to restore the life that once felt stable. But beneath that urgency is an assumption so deeply embedded, it often goes unnoticed, the belief that who you were before the collapse is who you are supposed to become again. That healing means going back. That recovery means restoration. And this is where the misunderstanding begins. Because what if who you were is exactly what had to collapse? What if the problem wasn't the breakdown, but the life that required you to break just to sustain it? What if the collapse was not your failure, but your psyche, refusing to continue living in something that was no longer true? This is where the work of Carl Jung becomes impossible to ignore, because Jung understood something most people resist until they are forced to face it. The psyche does not destroy what is real. It destroys what is false. After his separation from Sigmund Freud, Jung didn't rush to rebuild his identity or restore his position. He descended. He entered a period of profound inner disorientation where nothing felt stable, where his previous understanding of himself no longer held, and where his inner world became intense, chaotic, and impossible to ignore. From the outside, it looked like he was falling apart. But internally, something far more precise was happening. He was not falling apart. He was being stripped of everything that was not truly his. He was meeting himself without the mask. And that is exactly what this is. Because what collapsed in your life is not your true self. It is your persona, the mask you built to function in the world, the version of you that learned how to be accepted, how to succeed, how to avoid rejection, how to survive in environments that rewarded performance more than authenticity. There is nothing inherently wrong with the persona. It is necessary. It allows you to move through society without constant conflict. But it becomes dangerous the moment you stop seeing it as a mask and start believing it is who you are. Because once that happens, something begins to grow beneath the surface. The parts of you that do not fit that identity do not disappear. They wait. Your real desires, your unfiltered emotions, your instincts, your truth, all of it is pushed aside, not because it is gone, but because it is inconvenient, unacceptable, or too disruptive to the life you are trying to maintain. At first, this creates only a subtle tension, a quiet restlessness, a feeling that something is missing even when everything appears to be in place. You may not be able to explain it, but you feel it. A life that looks complete but feels strangely empty, as if you are living slightly outside of yourself, performing a role rather than inhabiting a reality. And because the system still functions, because the persona still works, you ignore it. You keep going. You build more, achieve more, maintain more. But the tension does not disappear. It accumulates. It grows quietly, patiently beneath the surface of your life. And eventually, it reaches a point where it can no longer be contained. And when that happens, it does not break slowly. It collapses completely. And that is why it feels so overwhelming, because what is falling apart is not just a situation or a role. It is the identity you believed was you. When that identity dissolves, it creates a void, not because you are empty, but because the false structure that once occupied all available space is gone. And in its absence, you are left with something unfamiliar, something undefined, something real, but not yet fully formed. And the instinct at this stage is immediate. Fill the void, replace what was lost, become something new as quickly as possible. But this is where the cycle repeats. Because if you rebuild without understanding what collapsed, you recreate the same conditions that led to the collapse in the first place. You build another mask, another identity, another version of yourself that may function but is still not real. And eventually that too will fall apart. Because what is built on illusion cannot hold under pressure. The real work begins when you resist that impulse, when you allow yourself to remain in the uncertainty, in the discomfort, in the not knowing. Because it is only in that space that something authentic can begin to emerge. And that space is not peaceful. It is not calm. It is not immediately meaningful. It is uncomfortable in a way that feels disorienting, because you are no longer anchored to anything familiar. But that discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something real is beginning to take shape. And when that space finally opens, what rises is not clarity, not peace, not immediate understanding. What rises first is everything you have spent years trying not to face, and that is where the real transformation begins. Because what comes after the collapse is not resolution, it is confrontation, not with the world, but with yourself. Because once the identity you relied on is no longer holding everything in place, the parts of you that were kept hidden begin to surface, and they do not appear in a controlled or comfortable way. They emerge as emotions you thought you had overcome, impulses you believed did not belong to you, reactions that feel unfamiliar, intense, or even overwhelming. This is what Carl Jung described as the shadow, the collection of everything within you that was rejected, suppressed, or deemed unacceptable by the identity you constructed. And the moment it appears, most people misunderstand it completely. They think something is wrong. They think they are regressing. They think they are becoming worse. But what is actually happening is the opposite. You are not becoming worse. You are becoming more complete. The shadow is not something separate from you. It is you, just not the version of you that you were willing to acknowledge. It includes the anger you learned to hide because you wanted to be seen as composed, the vulnerability you buried because you believed strength meant independence, the needs you denied because having them made you feel like a burden, the desires you suppressed because they did not fit the life you were trying to maintain. None of these parts disappeared when you pushed them away. They remained shaping your behavior, your decisions, your relationships from beneath the surface. And when the persona collapses, they no longer remain hidden. They rise into awareness, often all at once, creating an experience that feels chaotic, overwhelming, and difficult to understand. And this is where most people make the second mistake. As soon as they begin to stabilize, they try to suppress these parts again, to regain control, to restore order, to return to something familiar. But what is suppressed does not disappear. It intensifies. It returns in forms that are harder to ignore, more disruptive, more persistent. Because the shadow does not stop operating just because you stop looking at it. It operates through your reactions, your patterns, your relationships, your decisions. It influences your life in ways that feel external, but are deeply internal. And this is why so many people repeat the same cycles without understanding why. Because they are trying to fix their lives without understanding what is driving them. They are trying to change outcomes without examining the source. And until that source is brought into awareness, nothing truly changes. The work then is not suppression. It is integration. It is the willingness to face what has emerged without immediately judging it, without trying to eliminate it, without forcing it back into the unconscious. It requires a level of honesty that is uncomfortable because it dismantles the identity you have been maintaining for so long. To look at yourself and admit without distortion that you are not only the strong, composed, controlled version you presented to the world, but also the uncertain, emotional, contradictory human being you tried to hide. And this is where something begins to shift. Because only what is brought into awareness can be integrated, and only what is integrated can stop controlling you from beneath the surface. The shadow does not lose its power because you ignore it. It loses its power because you understand it. This is the beginning of a different kind of stability. Not the rigid stability of a persona that must be constantly protected, but the flexible stability of a self that is no longer divided against itself. A self that can hold contradiction without collapsing, that can be strong and vulnerable at the same time, that can experience uncertainty without losing its center. This is what Carl Jung described as individuation, the process of becoming fully yourself, not the version shaped by expectations, but the version that emerges when those expectations are no longer the foundation of your identity. And this process is not dramatic. It does not happen all at once. It unfolds slowly, quietly, in ways that are often invisible to others. But it requires something most people are not willing to give. It requires letting go of the old identity completely, not modifying it, not improving it, not rebuilding it with small adjustments, but releasing it entirely. Because what was built on illusion cannot support something real. And this is where fear becomes strongest. Because even though the old identity has collapsed, it is still familiar, it is still known, and the self that is emerging is not. It is uncertain, undefined, and uncomfortable. And this makes it feel unstable, even though it is far more real than anything you have relied on before. There is a temptation at this stage to return to rebuild something similar to regain that sense of familiarity, even if it means sacrificing authenticity. But if you do that, the cycle repeats. The same tension will build, the same disconnection will grow, and eventually another collapse will occur. The only way forward is through the discomfort, through the uncertainty, through the slow, often difficult process of discovering what is actually true about you. And that truth is not found in dramatic moments. It is found in the quiet decisions you make, when no one is watching, in the boundaries you set, in the things you say no to, in the things you finally allow yourself to feel. This discovery unfolds in small moments, in choices that may seem insignificant, but are actually foundational. The moment you choose honesty over approval, the moment you stop performing and start expressing, the moment you recognize that your worth is not tied to how well you maintain an image. These moments do not feel powerful at the time, but they are, because they are the beginning of a new structure, not one built on performance, but one built on truth. And truth does not need constant maintenance. It sustains itself. It does not collapse under pressure because it is not dependent on external validation to exist. This is what emerges from the ruins. Not a perfected version of who you were, not a restored identity, but something entirely different. A self that is not constructed, but discovered. A self that is not dependent on validation, but grounded in alignment. A self that can hold complexity without collapsing into confusion. And this is why what you are experiencing is not the end. It is the beginning of something far more real than anything you have lived before. The collapse was not your failure. It was the moment your psyche refused to continue living in something that was not true. The question is no longer how to get back to who you were. It is whether you are willing to become who you actually are, because that version of you has been waiting beneath everything you built, patient, silent, and unchanged. And now, for the first time, there is finally enough space for it to emerge. And if this gave language to something you've been experiencing but couldn't explain, don't let it stop here. Like this video so it can reach someone else who might be standing in the same place you once were, trying to make sense of something that feels impossible to explain. Share it with someone who needs to hear this, even if they don't know it yet. And if you're ready to go deeper into this process, to understand not just what's happening to you but why, then subscribe to Deep Psyche, because what begins here is not a conclusion. It's the beginning of something much deeper.